over the years. Mike Triplett, who covers the Saints over at ESPN.com, will stop in and talk Drew Brees at 8:30 this morning. We'll talk to Triplett about some of the stories around Brees and covering him during the 15 season. And then what's next for the New Orleans Saints? I think a lot of surprising, some of the surprising news that came out following Brees' announcement was to see the restructure of Taysom Hill's contract and to talk about what possibly could be next for New Orleans. We will do that with Mike Triplett coming up at 8:30 this morning. So we are looking forward to that conversation coming up into the second hour. Sorry about that. We are looking forward to that coming up in the second hour. Today we'll also talk to Stingley Sr. at 8 a.m. as LSU football gets on the practice field for day one of spring drills. Lots to get to. Durante Jones, Jake Peets, DJ Mangus, some new faces on the coaching side. But we will talk to Derek Stingley Sr. coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning on what's going on. Is our sound good?
Yeah, we're good. Back up the vMix likes to cut out the audio every now and again. You just have to add a new input, which I did.
All right, so we're up and moving on this Monday morning. So all right, at 7:30 this morning, we'll talk to John Brady as LSU basketball stamps their ticket to the NCAA tournament this morning as they will face off against St. Bonaventures later this week. That'll be a Saturday matchup versus the Bonnies. And just in case you were curious on whether or not the NCAA and there was somebody that had it out for our boy Willie Wade, go ahead and check that 8 seed next to the Tigers yesterday after the run they've been on the last week and a half. My goodness. I mean, look, if it wasn't bad enough to hear Carl Ravitch and Dick Vitale just pretty much throwing up an anti-recruitment for LSU basketball during yesterday's SEC championship, which was so Bush League. I mean, how minor league has Vitale come across in covering LSU over the last 3 years? I've said it time and time again. I'll say it again. Has there been anyone in the social media age who has lost more credibility than Dick Vitale? No. And more evidence to that yesterday on a national broadcast in a championship game where the ooze of the federal investigation seeps all throughout college basketball, everywhere, from coast to coast. And Vitale has the guts on national television to give a de-recruitment speech to LSU future athletes. I'm telling you, if I was LSU, Woodward, and the administration and the executive board of committees, I'd have some call to action this morning, whether it be to Greg Sankey in the SEC office or the NCAA. I know you may run into some dead ends and may get some, we can't help you here, but there has to be some type of complaint on Vitale and his coverage of LSU basketball. I mean, that's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Do they talk about Krzyzewski and Duke and Zion getting the new house when they cover Duke games? Every time. Sean Miller paying out of his pocket to one of his players every time they call an Arizona basketball game. I mean, look, everybody knows what the allegations are around LSU basketball. They've been running now for 3 years without any substantial evidence. And the fact that broadcast was nearly railroaded yesterday by Vitale and Ravitch to a degree, who is a true professional. I mean, I have never had any types of criticism towards Carl Ravitch in doing his job, but that was as Bush League as you will find on the professional level of coverage in a student athlete. I mean, that game was an instant classic between LSU and Alabama. I mean, forget what was on the line. Forget what they were playing for. I mean, just the game itself in front of your eyes comes down to a last shot. Trendon Watford has 30, the loudest 30 I've seen Watford and LSU, in his career. Everything I have said about Watford over the last 2-3 months, I mean, I felt like a moron yesterday for 40 minutes, especially the last 20. I mean, Watford was unguardable. But at the end of the game, I would question why he shot it from 20 feet when you've been killing Alabama within 6. The last situation wasn't ideal from the throw into Javonte as Watford chases it down near midcourt. He steps up into a one-on-one situation. I thought he was going to drive to the goal. He did not. He fires up a shot that is blocked. Andre Hyatt, my God, he had to have nightmares about that look he had in under 2 seconds as he just flipped it up and it back ironed and bounced right back to him. And Alabama wins a third time over LSU, 80-79 with the SEC title, the SEC tournament title on the line. The Tide's first SEC championship since 1991. It would have been LSU's first since 93, their appearance. The last time they were there, Gert Hammock was the center.
Gert. Get it done.
Wade and LSU will now face the Bonnies, the St. Bonaventure, in the first round of the NCAA tournament as the 8th seed, which is a joke. I mean, that is a joke. If you didn't think that ESPN, Vital, and the talking heads were after LSU basketball and Will Wade, you saw it on full display in Indianapolis yesterday as a selection committee and the group put a 8 seed next to LSU after watching that team take the 5th seeded Alabama Crimson Tide team in this tournament. Alabama's the 5th seed, the top 2 seed in March. LSU has them on the ropes for stretches, beating the hell out of them. And the NCAA selection committee says that LSU looks like an 8 seed after watching them play for the last 2 weeks. All right, we get it. You're out for Wade. You hate him. I will say this. Michigan without Livers, St. Bonaventure, not an ideal matchup in the first round. If you can get out of there and you match up against Michigan without Isaiah Livers, who they played their first game with on Saturday against Ohio State and fell to the Buckeyes, you might be set up for a run. But it was disheartening to see the 8 seed. We'll ask Coach John Brady here at 7:30 this morning what he saw from LSU over the last couple of weeks, what his thoughts were about an 8 seed. How about that scene before the game yesterday on midcourt? How about the scene following the game by Nate Oates telling Will Wade to get the bleep out of here? I love it. I absolutely love it. I love rivalries. I love trash talking. I love barking at midcourt pre-tip-off. I don't want fist fights and people rolling around on the floor, but I love a little chippiness. I love going into a matchup with some motivation. You saw the best from LSU basketball yesterday. You saw the best from Alabama basketball yesterday. I love that 40 minutes of action. I mean, how good of a game was that? Just going back and forth. So LSU's heading to Indiana today. They'll have to quarantine for a couple of days. They'll be on the practice court on Thursday and Friday. Talked to Coach Wade yesterday afternoon. He will be stopping by the Jordy Culotta Show at some point this week. A very busy morning for the Tigers as they will be on the move from Nashville after the NCAA, after the SEC tournament yesterday. We'll talk to Coach Brady coming up here at 7:30 this morning. But a lot of you reacting inside of the bunker, and we invite your interaction there. Stop in, make sure you're watching us on the Jordy Culotta Show 2.0 YouTube page, but we're also urging you to get over to the Jordy Culotta Show, jordyculottashow.com, where you can get in and be entered to win our Just Winging It bracket challenge here in the 2021 March Madness tournament, as we are sponsored by Just Winging It there, and we're giving you an opportunity to win some cool gear, to win a lot of wings, as we'll give away some gift cards and a lot of opportunities over at Just Winging It. But we will also have a chance for a car giveaway. We're working out the rules and regulations right now. You got to be within the state of Louisiana. Only one bracket. Some other things that we're going through to make sure that we have the rules and regulations before we start promoting it for our friends. But our friends over at Go Chevrolet have been real kind and cool to partner up with us during this promotion, as we will be giving away a car for a perfect bracket. If you can fill out a perfect bracket over at jordyculottashow.com, we'll get you what will be what the rules and regulations are here when we really start promoting it. But the bracket is live, and you can get in and fill in, spread the word, pass it around, as you can find it there at jordyculottashow.com. I mean, there's so much to get to on this Monday morning. Nikki, will you kill that heat, that heat, please? I mean, there's just so much to get to on this Monday. LSU baseball series over the weekend. I mean, like you switched off the LSU basketball game. It's already off. Okay. I thought I heard something.
My computer over here breathing, laboring.
Wow. How about that? You turned off the LSU basketball game yesterday afternoon. Flip on the LSU baseball game.
You're right back in the thick of it.
I mean, you're like, what the hell is going on? You thought LSU was going to have a demanding ninth inning win. UTSA gets 5 in the bottom of the ninth. They extend this thing. LSU goes into extras. A couple of towering
just hitting tanks.
Home runs in the extras as Jordan Thompson blasts one. A pitch later, Hayden Travinski knocks one over the center field wall. As LSU comes back to win it 13, 12, and 11. Lloyd and I were sitting in the UDL like, what the, is this happening right now?
I mean, Hayden Travinski gets the ultimate, like, well, this guy's about to hit a tank. They're like, I mean, he comes in, he takes big hacks, first pitch swing and knocks it out the park. And it wasn't even had a thought of going anywhere but deep dead center. We're like, all right, well, we're right back in this game. It was just unbelievable to see everybody they're swinging with reckless abandon, dude. They're all trying to hit it out the park.
I mean, it was like home run derby cuts.
And down 5 doesn't matter.
No.
Here's a 3-spot immediately. We're right back in the game.
It was incredible. I mean, like from all the drama that you watched in LSU basketball to switch over to LSU baseball and see similar type of drama right there. It was nuts, man.
Fun day.
Brian Fletcher says if Isaiah Livers is out, I love the seeding because they can beat Michigan. Without their 3-point shooter, which potentially leads them to facing the in the Elite Eight. I agree with Brian there. I think the Livers matchup or the potential liverless matchup, yes, with Michigan, which it does not look good. I mean, if you're kind of reading between the lines on Isaiah Livers, as he had a stress fracture in his foot. That is keeping him out. I mean, Juwan Howard was speaking to the media saying, look, they didn't get the news that they wanted. And Howard has done just a tremendous job at Michigan, but they are a different team without Isaiah Livers in the lineup. And I mean, look, they have a incredible freshman big man in Hunter Dickinson. And they have a really good roster, but their style changes without Livers in the lineup. You saw it on Saturday. I mean, they ran into Ohio State in their first game without Livers. And you know, I mean, it was a great game, but they were beat by 1. I mean, their complexion changes tremendously without him in the lineup. So I am like Brian Fletcher. I love the matchup. If LSU can get past St. Bonaventure's, because St. Bonaventure's by no means is a ideal matchup for LSU. Let's go down to Lafayette real quick and link up with Jack Bech, who is an LSU wide receiver commit and had a great weekend as St. Thomas More was state champs, crowned state champs for the 4th straight year.
He reeled in 2 this year, huh?
Yeah.
Football and basketball.
Absolutely. Jack, you there?
Yep, I'm right here.
Good morning, man. How are you? We're live.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, bro. What a weekend for you. I mean, we're sitting here breaking down Drew Brees' retirement, LSU basketball getting into the NCAA tournament, LSU baseball winning in extra innings, and LSU football starts spring practice today. You got your 4th state title over the weekend in basketball, had 16 with a couple of thunderous dunks. How was it?
Yeah, it was a blast, to go out. I didn't lose a game this year in football or basketball, so that was pretty cool to end things off. But it was definitely cool being able to win a state championship at both sports.
What did basketball do for you? You look like you have a lot of fun out there. I mean, you don't look like just a football player running around playing basketball. It looks like you take this sport pretty serious. What has being a basketball player done for you being a prospect?
Oh, it just brings more attention to you. It also helps with the football aspect of things because you're always running, staying in shape. You're jumping a lot, high pointing balls, shooting layups through traffic. So for me, it was kind of something to make friendships and bonds, but also to help with my game in football.
Look like you've gotten thick, boy, as you start to pack on them pounds from Coach Tommy Moffitt's program. How's that workout going?
Man, it's going great. Their whole workout program is set up really, really well. And, I like everything they're doing with it.
Mickey Joseph was here last week. Of course, you had 10 catches in the state championship game, over 230 yards, which was a state title. You got a back-to-back state championships in football. And Mickey Joseph told us last week they've already got the package inserted offensively for you next season. What are you hearing on how they're going to use you your freshman season?
I'm hearing a couple of different things. I think that perspective is going to change when once they really see me in person running routes and see how I move. I think I could play tight end, but I think I'm more of a receiver, even like an H-back type role. But just I think a lot of motioning, creating mismatches is what they're talking about right now.
So I think you're the best route runner in the state and in this class, possibly. Is there a possibility of you playing inside in the slot?
Yes, sir. I think if I do play receiver, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be in the slot.
What has this run been like for you in high school? Because, I mean, you guys are coming from so much success down in St. Thomas More. What is the expectation for you when you kind of step into the next role at the next level?
Same thing, just success right whenever we get there. We're not trying to wait. Our class has already kind of talked about things. We're trying to hop right in and win a national championship right away.
Last time we talked to you had just committed to the class, and then following your commitment, LSU picked up a couple of wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and then get Brian Thomas into the class. I think this is the best class in the country as far as wide receivers go. You're a part of this class. What's your overall thoughts?
I agree 100%. I think we have the deepest wide receiver room in the nation for sure. I think anybody in the room can ball, and I think in turn it's just going to make all of us better because we're all going to be competing like as hard as we can every day to try and get that that starting spot. So I think it's just all going to make us beasts and hungry to play.
Can you talk to our listeners about your recruitment? For a long time, you recruited to and committed to Vanderbilt. You were always respected and recognized within recruiting for what you were accomplishing on the field and in the 7-on-7 circuit. You were an animal. When did you start to see your recruitment not blow up because it was always consistent, but when did you start to see the big schools come in and start to offer? What was it?
Really, like 2 months before signing day, LSU offered me after one of our district games that Saturday morning, and then from there, like the following, like that week, from that Saturday to the next Friday, I kind of got like not every offer I ever wanted, but like the schools that I probably would go play at. And not that I wouldn't go play at Vanderbilt because I love Vanderbilt. Yeah. Such a great school. I loved all the coaches. But I think I just had opportunity that was for me that, I wanted more. Like LSU was there. Texas Notre Dame offered me. So I think I just got more opportunities at bigger, more, I guess, football bound places. And then obviously LSU was like my dream school, so I had to go. I had to pick the home state school.
Absolutely. What is the what is the ceiling? What in your opinion? How good can Walker Howard be, your quarterback? He threw for 381 in that state championship game, and had such a great season playing alongside you while he was a junior, you a senior. How good can he be?
He can be. I mean, you can already see it now, like the arm strength he has and like his mobility. Like his awareness and like willingness to create open, like I don't know how to really explain. Like he just makes plays and get things done. Like nobody will be open. He'll scramble for a little bit and just send an absolute rocket down the field. So I mean, you can already kind of see how good he can be. And I think he's just only going to get better, and he's just only going to grow over time. He's going to get bigger, definitely going to put on some weight. And I think he can be one of the best in all the state.
Jack, give me a little perspective here. You're a bright and shining star in our state as far as football goes, and you're really kind of beginning your football life going into college. What's the point of view from somebody like you on a player like Drew Brees? What are your thoughts of somebody like Brees who's stepping away from the game after 20 years at the professional level?
Yeah, like everybody's been tweeting out, Drew Brees was kind of like that person everybody looked up to, like after Katrina, he was like our saving star. He came in and like they won the Super Bowl, brought like New Orleans back to where it was, like helped everything recuperate. Like every young kid that I know, like every one of my friends had a Drew Brees jersey. It's like you had to love him, even if you hate them, you loved him, just because what he did for the community and what he did for the state, kind of what he did for the South too. But he was just a role model for all. We all appreciate and thank him for what he did.
LSU football starts spring today. How's that work for you? Do you make the trip down to catch any practices, or are you able to keep up with what's going on the field?
Oh, I'm definitely going to try and get down. I don't know how many I'll be able to make. And I'm pretty sure we're allowed to. I don't even know, though, with all the rules.
I didn't even think about that while I was asking.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to try and get down and make a couple practices.
I know that this is very this has got to be a very happy moment for you, but for your family too, right? Because the Bech name carries a little cachet within LSU football, as you've seen some of your family members come through the program and make impacts. What has this been like celebrating you becoming an LSU football player with the Bech family?
Man, it's been a lot of fun. Just carrying on the legacy from my two uncles that played there. It's just been a really, fun ride. It's gonna be definitely something new and greater than we've already done. Like you said a little earlier, it's kind of the beginning of my football life, but we're happy to see where things go.
Tell your uncles Brett and Blaine hello from the Jordy Culotta Show. Keep up the great work, man. Congratulations on all your success. Another state title for you, man. You got rings on rings going into on college. So congratulations on all your success, and we'll see you in Baton Rouge soon.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it, man. There's Jack Bech checking in from Lafayette this morning. As over the weekend he had 16 points in a state championship game for the Cougars. As you're talking about a dual sport athlete that's coming in LSU's wide receiver class. That you heard Mickey Joseph last week right here on the Jordy Culotta Show say they've already got the package implemented for Bech on how they're going to use him his freshman season in a class full of stars, wide receiver stars. And they've got them. Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Deion Jones, Malik Neighbors, Jack Bech. Bech comes in with, as far as the numbers and the production goes, he's the best. That's what the numbers say. Now, when you stack them up side by side, they all have different skill sets. But when you watch Bech play, for whatever reason, he is always open. And I'm talking about like wide open. And there's no reason why he should be, because they're double and triple teaming this cat at the high school level. But he's an incredible route runner. He catches a football, and his ability after he gets the ball in his hand, he's dynamic. I mean, we talked to Gabe Fertitta, Catholic High football coach, who was now moved on to Louisville, but at the time was the head coach and had faced off against St. Thomas More, and he could not stop just gushing about Bech, just talking about everything he brings to an offense, to a team, and I can't wait to watch him play on the next level. I think he's going to be tremendous, and I think he's going to fit into a locker room that's filled with playmakers, and he's going to be one of them. So I appreciate his time here on this Monday morning on his way to school, as there's so much to get to. And you can almost go anywhere, as we've talked a little bit about the LSU baseball weekend. Obviously, we talked about LSU basketball over the weekend. The Pelicans dominated the Clippers last night. Another huge night for Zion. And then the whole sports world is talking about Drew Brees and what's happened down here in South Louisiana in the decision for Brees to step away from football after 20 years in the game and 15 years in the city of New Orleans. Brees made it official on March 14th, which was 15 years to the day that he inked the free agency deal with New Orleans after the shoulder surgery, and it and it was a pretty cool way to go out for Breeze on the same day that he came in 15 years later, after everything that he accomplished in the city and all the success that he and Peyton had in directing the New Orleans Saints. It was a nice way to see that story come to a close yesterday. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Do you like doing things yourself? Do you want to save some cash? Then you need to check out Falaya Real Estate. It's do-it-yourself selling your house. If you want more information, log online to falaya.com, or you can download the app today. Go to Google Play or to your Apple Store to download the Falaya app. But look, it's no secret what they have going on over at Falaya. They're really changing the game and how real estate's being done down here in Louisiana. I met with Barrett Blondo a couple of weeks back, and Blondo's been a friend of mine for over 35 years. And they're putting together all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. If you want more information, call Barrett this morning at 225-939-6153, 939-6153, 939-6153 in the 225 area code, or online at falaya.com. Falaya.com. All right, let's talk to John Brady here, who was on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network, as Brady yesterday was calling, which will be perceived and which will go down as an instant classic in the SEC tournament. Yesterday, 80-79, the final, as Alabama prevails over LSU, but a game that could have gone either way.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Are we live?
We're live. Sorry. I need
You didn't let me know that.
I need to give you that precursor every time. I've only done it once. It will be every time. I said yesterday was an instant classic. You called it. I know you weren't courtside, which you love to be, and now you will be in the NCAA tournament, which I'm looking forward to hearing you guys. But yesterday's game, just as a fan, fantastic, huh?
I thought it was a great game. In fact, I thought the three games LSU played were three of their best all year in terms of being physical and matching the other team's physicality and the way LSU tried to defend and their competitive nature they played with. I thought it was their best three games of the year. And that one yesterday was a classic. You know, both teams played well. LSU played well enough to win the game. Alabama just made a couple of plays at the end. LSU had a couple of opportunities and didn't, and that's the way it went. And so, you know, but I think you leave there feeling good about what you did. You don't concentrate on the loss and letting it knock you back. You concentrate on what you did really well, which were a lot of things. Get you some momentum going into the NCAA tournament on what you did and how you feel about yourself. And I texted Will, and you know, before the Alabama game, and I said, "Look, your team's in a good place." And that's a tribute to him and his coaching staff at this time of the year with what they've gone through, everything. I just felt like the team was in a good place, and I just wished him luck and that sort of thing. But they are in a good place. I think they're in a better place now based on what they did there, and I'm looking forward to see, you know, how they progress in this thing, regardless of the draw.
What have you seen defensively over the last week and a half? Because it seems like they have at least been more attentive and more intense on that side of the floor?
Yeah, more involvement. You know, every player more involved defensively, taking more pride in it. It seems, and like I said after the game, you know, anybody that has talked about LSU not being able to guard or maybe soft or whatever the case may be, the SEC tournament put all that to rest. I don't want to talk about that anymore because LSU showed what they're capable of doing defensively from a competitive nature, the involvement all that each player had that leads to good team defense. So all that's gone. So they're in a good place now. I think they're moving forward. I know you're going to ask me about the draw. I don't like the draw, but I certainly don't want to focus on that to take away from where they can go. You know, maybe look at it as a positive. Might as well beat Michigan anyway early and then move on as opposed to playing them 2 or 3 games down the road.
You were a 4 seed in 2006. Did you ever talk to your team about that? Do you ever talk to your team about seeding on where you are? Yeah, like from Will's standpoint, they probably should have been higher. Do you mention that?
I never did. They know. I mean, there's no use confusing the players with that. What it is what it is. What has happened, at this time of the season, this point, they may say we're going to use it as motivation. Some of the players may say that, but I wouldn't. Now, Will's different than me in a lot of ways. It's a different time. I'd never mention where we were seated and use that as any kind of reason to play or play better or play harder. What it is what it is. Let's feel good about what we've done. We're in the NCAA tournament, and when you get in the NCAA tournament, anything can happen regardless of where you fall.
What did you make of Trendon Watford yesterday?
Well, Jordy, I've said this 10, 12, 14 games ago. Something in his brain, I don't know if it was the coaching staff, I would assume, he hasn't shot a three. He made the 1-3 yesterday, but this guy's taking the ball to the goal. He's taking it to the rim. Until they stop him, why not? And nobody has been able to contain him. Now, he's missed a few around the goal, but I think what it does, it gives LSU some type of post presence. Outside of him, they really don't have one. So with him driving the ball to the goal, collapsing the defense, he's very good at kicking the ball out when he senses double teams coming. So I like him doing that, and I think it's improved his stock by not settling for a three and becoming more of the player that he is, a crafty guy who at 6, 8, or 9 can drive the ball to the goal, score left hand, right hand around the basket. Sometimes he doesn't shoot the free throw as much as well as Coach Wade would like. Like yesterday, he missed some opportunities there from the free throw line, but still in all, driving the ball to the goal, getting at the rim, drawing fouls, kicking it out when he senses double teams coming. A lot of times he backed guys in down low and scored, and Alabama couldn't come with the double team because he's so good at passing it out of the double team. So I like the post presence he provides LSU now and what he's been doing the last 12 or 14 games.
Darius Day's and LSU's correlation of success when he scores in double figures is like 16-1 when he does that.
That's remarkable.
It's unbelievable. Why the success rate from your point of view, and then what did you see yesterday that had him struggling?
Well, it gives them it gives them a fourth score. Anytime those four guys are in double figures, we're really tough to defend. We can spread the floor. It opens it up for Trendon to do what he does around the goal, driving the ball or whatever the case may be, and it just loosens up the defense a little bit more. I thought yesterday he had 2 or 3 really nice looks. He just didn't make them. Mm-hmm. I think what Darius has done this year, sometimes he gets in foul trouble and has to come out of the game. Sometimes he has opportunities to make some baskets and he misses them. Nothing to be critical, but what he took quality shots yesterday. Yeah. I don't think he really rushed shots or took bad shots. He took some quality shots. He just didn't hit them, and it was one of those games. But still, even without him, LSU did lose the game by 1, but they didn't lose anything in the way they played and tried to play. And that's the thing about it. It's a 1-point loss, but the team's making progress even in a 1-point loss without Darius Day scoring. And I think that's the positive thing you take out of that.
How cool is this time of the year for a coach and a player? Because I know from a fan standpoint, I'm almost like a giddy school kid during this time of the year and watching basketball all day. From a coaching and player standpoint, how much do you look forward to this time of the year? And then once you're in it, how cool is it?
Well, it's great, but what really makes it fun is if you win.
Yeah.
It's still one game. I know everything around it. I think the fans see it from the outside, but when you're in there playing, you're preparing for it like you're in the middle of the SEC race. You don't really, or at least I must have made the mistake of absorbing it all when you're in there. It's different. There's a lot more attention to it. But really, if you lose the game, you feel just as bad as if you played the game yesterday against Alabama and lose it by 1. It comes down to winning, and when you win an NCAA tournament, it really creates a buzz. But I've experienced that a couple of different times, but it's really exciting, and it's great for the players, especially when you win the game.
Absolutely. How do you scout this time of the year? How do you scout a team that you potentially play? You've got St. Bonaventures on Saturday, and then how do you scout forward from there?
Well, you anticipate who you might play, and I don't think they'll pay any attention to who Michigan's going to play. That's who they're going to play next. unless it's some kind of miracle or crazy. But that's not going to happen. So I would focus on Michigan, but certainly St. Bonaventure. I think there's so many avenues to get tape and get information these days that that's not a real problem preparing for a team in the NCAA tournament. Back when I coached, there were these different places you could call and get tapes on everybody in every game. You have to pay for that, obviously, but there were places you could call and get 20 tapes on St. Bonaventure. You get every game because people have taped them and put them up and whatever the case may be. I think now it's even more easier. There's more avenues to see. And St. Bonaventure's a good team. That's one team all year long. I hadn't talked about. That's one team all year long that I have watched and paid attention to their scores. The league they play in is good. That's the St. Louis League, if I'm not mistaken. And St. Louis, put it on us up there a little bit early in the year, way early in the year, and they were a good team. So, and they win this league and win the tournament. And St. Bonaventure is going to be someone, LSU needs to prepare for. And I know Coach Wade understands them. He was up that way a little bit, and he probably knows the coach. So, it's going to be a tough first game for LSU, and it's something they're going to pay attention to. And it's like Will said in the SEC tournament. The first game is the most important one because if you don't win that, you can't advance. So all their focus right now will be on St. Bonaventure, but probably with a coach on the side looking ahead and gathering information on Michigan as well.
Yeah, Mike Schmidt's staff and Team St. Bonaventure will face off against LSU. 12:45 tip-off from Assembly Hall in Indiana. And, Coach, you guys will be making the trip, right?
Yeah, we're waiting on a word from Chris Blair about when we're going to leave and that sort of thing. I assume we'll probably go up Thursday possibly or Friday playing that Saturday game. So we're going to stay in a separate hotel from the team, and then we're going to fly up commercial, obviously. We're not going to go with the team. And then when we call the game, we're going to be up high so they consider us out of the bubble, and we don't have to go through all the protocol that the team's going to go through every day. And if the team continues to win, they're just going to stay on the road. I mean, you could be away from school. They left from the SEC tournament. You could be out of school 5 or 6 weeks.
Wow.
Just right there in Indianapolis if you go to the Final Four. So that's different. And but with all the things you can do over the internet now in terms of studying and keeping up with your grades or whatever the case may be, I think that's going to be something they can work through. With the academic people that are going to travel with the LSU team.
What do you make of the field, Coach? First time since '76, Duke or Kentucky is not in it, and then the top 4 seeds, of course, with Gonzaga, the number 1 overall seed, as an undefeated number 1. What'd you make of the field?
Well, if a team like Gonzaga or somebody who even Baylor or some of these teams, if they're going to win a national championship, this is the year to sneak in and do it because some of these blue blood power teams aren't as good or they're not even in the tournament. So this is the year to do that. I think the field, there's some. I hadn't studied it, but when I just watched it a little bit, I watched it a little bit this morning. There are some things that I challenge, about why is their seeded this high? And I think there are problems with 5 or 6 teams in terms of their seeding and how high they are. I was a little shocked at some of the teams on their seeding and the where they fell. And then I was shocked at LSU a little bit. I thought we'd done enough to get off that 8-9 and get away from the number 1 and get up to the 7, the 6 or 7 line where we don't have to play the number 1. But it didn't happen. So what it is what it is. You deal with it. And you prepare for it, and you just go play the game.
People in Tuscaloosa would argue this because they've gotten the best of LSU 3 times this season, but do you see a rivalry budding between the Crimson Tide and LSU, and most notably between Wade and Oates, as those two seem like they get the best out of each other?
I don't know. Oates was about the camera cut away from him when he was when he was saying what he was going to say, and he's a competitive guy. I think coaches at that level are all competitive. We had I think Alabama, LSU in every sport has always had a little extra edge to it. I know when Godfrey didn't beat us here, they were so excited they jumped up on the scorer's table here when I was coaching. And that's when I said, Mark Godfrey's got no class. And then I go over there to play them, and that's when wore T-shirts that said Brady's an idiot. I look up there in the screen, there's 500 students with Brady's an idiot T-shirts. So I think it's always been a little edge there. And so, and what they did yesterday, I don't mind that. I like the confrontation a little bit, as long as it doesn't get out of hand. But you're going to have that at this level with athletes like those teams have and teams that we had. They're competitive. That's why they're at this level. That's why they're playing. And the statement I made on the radio yesterday is what I've always referred back to with Nick Saban. He wants his team to play with emotion, but he doesn't want them to be emotional. And right before the game, the team was getting a little too emotional for me with the little confrontation there. But it's part of it, and I think it was handled well. But I'd rather it be that way, a little bit more on edge, than don't have it at all. So you can always tone it down, but it's hard to tone it up, so to speak.
Great call yesterday as Brady and Blair on the SEC title game were fantastic on the network. You'll be able to check those guys out coming up this weekend. As Saturday, LSU will be facing off against St. Bonaventure. That game will tip off at 12:45, which means Brady and Blair will be on the air 30 minutes before tip-off at 12:15, however you catch the LSU Sports Radio Network. I'm sure we'll talk before then, Coach. If not, have safe travels, and thank you again for the time this morning.
Hey, well, Jordy, I said one thing on the air yesterday, and it was kind of in reference to you. I said, Chris, we may have more listeners today because Dick Vitale, not only is LSU playing for the championship, but Dick Vitale's doing the game, and LSU people are going to turn him off and tune us in.
Well, it didn't take long. It didn't take long to get away from Vitale because he threw the graphic up there with about 12 minutes left in the first on why kids shouldn't go to LSU. It was a railroad treatment from Vitale.
I saw that on our monitor. I really thought that was unnecessary to do that. I just thought it was they're looking for something, and that was unnecessary. There was no reason for that, and I really. I told Chris Blair, I said, that's ridiculous. That shouldn't even be a part of this celebration of these two teams.
3 or 4 possessions in that game, that graphic ate-up commentary from both Carl Ravitch and Dick Vitale. Unprofessional is the least I could say about it. Thank you very much.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, very much.
All right, my man.
All right, man. See you, Coach. There he is, John Brady, checking in this morning from the LSU Sports Radio Network. I'm glad we were able to get that piece of information in. From Brady there, because I didn't want to put him on the spot to ask him about another broadcast professional where that they may live, but I'm glad Brady went there. It was a hack job. It was Bush League. It was I can't believe that Carl Ravitch agreed to go there. Dick Vitale has shown over the years this is his game. This is his play. He's obviously got it out for Wade and LSU and any chance he could get it. I mean, he even talked about renaming the court after Dale Brown for 2 minutes yesterday. Like, Dick, call the 2021 SEC championship. For God's sakes.
Right in front of you.
I mean, it's happening in front of your face. Nobody cares about allegations from 3 years ago or a court that's obviously not going to be named after the guy. I mean, can we move on? For God's sakes. I mean, we were talking about the potential of Dale Brown Court now for 15 years. It ain't happening. Jeez. I mean, that was as Bush League as you will find. Vitale and Ravitch yesterday talking. I mean, Vitale was making a pitch to potential LSU basketball players asking, why would you come here? Oh, I don't know, Dick. The same reason guys go to Duke after Krzyzewski and the Duke boosters found Zion a house. You going to mention that every time you call a Duke basketball game? It just, Sean Miller was paying DeAndre Ayton out of his own pocket.
Sweaty pockets.
Daily, we're brought to you by Elevate Treatment. Elevate Treatment is right here in Baton Rouge, located off of Jefferson Highway. Elevate is dedicated to treating patients who are battling drug and alcohol addiction. Their goal over there is to guide you in your steps towards recovery and you achieve and maintain sobriety. We went and checked out the facility. It's a great spot right here in Baton Rouge. You should choose Elevate Legacy Treatment. They've got a great explanation and stories and testimonials online at elevatetreatment.com. That is ELEV, the number 8, treatment.com. So elevatetreatment.com is where you can find all the information. They're on social media. They're on Facebook. They've got great testimonials. They've got great information that you can find there. You can call them directly to begin your treatment this morning at 225-448 0440. 448-0440 is the phone number. It's a 225 area code, and you can follow him online at elevatetreatment.com. It was, I'm glad some people are getting in. Jack Carpenter saying Dickie V taking every chance to put us down that he can get. Tom Granning says getting back on. I texted him yesterday. I mean, and like I've always said about Vital and the relationship, he doesn't have to do local platforms on in the markets that he talks about every game. But for whatever reason, he has answered the text message and answered the tweets and come on the show. And I asked him after yesterday if he could. Now, I don't know if he will because, we're in March and he's very busy and there's a lot of stuff going on around college basketball. But that was so Bush League and minor league and unprofessional, to say the very least, yesterday. And to see that from Carl Ravitch and ESPN, it's insane. I cannot believe that they allow that to happen. Just game in, game out with Vital.
Have you ever seen anything like that with just one team? Like,
No.
like an announcer going after one particular team, and it's every time.
Never.
And he keeps going on games like, yeah, I'll call
Never.
LSU, but get this graphic up real quick.
Yeah, it was concerning to say the least. But either way, LSU's moving on. They were the number 8 seed in the East region of the 2021 NCAA men's bracket. They'll face number 9 St. Bonaventure on Saturday. 12:45 is going to be the tip-off on Saturday. Game's going to be televised on TNT. And as we just talked to Coach John Brady, you can catch those guys on the LSU Sports Radio Network to catch up with that action for LSU and St. Bonaventure's. Another crazy weekend at the box as LSU is able to take 3 from over the weekend as they take 3 from UT San Antonio. On Friday, Jaden Hill, everybody was watching how Hill was going to bounce back after last Friday's debacle versus Oral Roberts. He goes 6 2/3 shutout innings, so that was good to see from LSU's ace on Friday night. Kay Doty had another home run. Gavin Dugas had a couple of ribbies as LSU won 3-1. Mikhail Hilliard ended up getting the win, which is now his second on the season. So on Friday night, LSU controls the game with a 3-1 win. On Saturday, things got wild as LSU hit 3 extra inning home runs to get this game. They ended up winning the extra inning game 10-9 late Saturday night as Blake Money got in there to get the win, who pitched the scoreless 13th. After the game was tied in the top of the 9th, 4-4, Texas San Antonio took a 3-run lead in the 10th inning, led 7-4, and then Kay Doty hit a 3-run bomb with one out in the bottom half of the frame to give LSU a tied-up game, and Jordan Thompson comes in, solo home run. They win the game in the 13th inning. And then on Sunday, I mean,
More of the same.
Can it get any wilder? Right? I mean, you're thinking man, Saturday night was wild. What about Sunday? They're just going to go in there and just kind of control it, and they were. They were in the 9th inning. They were up. They were up. Were they up 4?
Yeah, were they 4 or 5?
Yeah, they were up 4. Texas San Antonio gets 5. LSU gets 1 in the bottom of the 9th to go into extras. They go into extras, and Hayden Travinsky and Jordan Thompson smash more home runs. LSU gets out with a 13-12 win in 11 innings. It was crazy. LSU's 5th straight win. They got 19 hits. So AJ Labus was really nice yesterday as he limited Texas San Antonio to 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 innings of work, no walks, 7 strikeouts, and 85 pitches. So LSU is back in action. We'll play on Tuesday night. They'll play Southeastern. They'll host the Lions 6:30. But a crazy weekend at the box and a crazy weekend of sports. A crazy weekend of
every time you turned around, something was going down.
Of just breaking down what's going on. I mean, we had mentioned it last night in the NBA. Zion and the Pelicans destroyed, manhandled the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, beat the hell out of them. Controlled the game from start to finish. Big Z, again, another night, 27 points, 5 assists. Brandon Ingram had 23. Beat the Clippers 135-115. Lonzo Ball had 5 3-pointers. Look, I mean, they open up a 3-game road trip in Portland on Tuesday night. You kind of wait and see because it's been a hell of a roller coaster ride with New Orleans. But 27 for Zion the last time out in a win. is pretty strong. As Jackson Hayes had a really cool highlight last night as he was able to
catch a body
to dunk on somebody's head. Kyra Lewis has been playing pretty good as of late. Pelicans hit 12 3-pointers last night, combined for 38 assists as a team, and the bench scored 49 points. So a lot of glowing spots for the Pelicans last night. All right, coming up in the second hour, we're going to talk LSU football. LSU football is getting back to work today on the Ponderosa. Spring practice is going to start this afternoon, as we'll ask Derek Stingley Sr. some of the storylines that he's watching going into practice number 1. At 8:15 this morning, we're going to talk to Brandon Landry. Landry is the longtime business partner of Drew Brees. We will talk to Landry about some Brees stories and just kind of get his reaction from the news over the last 24 hours that Brees announced his retirement from professional football after 20 years in the game, 15 years in New Orleans, and really doing so much for our region, of course, the franchise, the state of Louisiana, and we'll talk to Landry about some of those moments that he's got from being alongside Brees over the last couple of years. And then Mike Triplett, who covers the New Orleans Saints, will stop by here at 8:30 and talk about obviously covering Brees during that time period, some of the lasting legacies and memories that Triplett will take away from that time in covering Drew. And then what's next for New Orleans? I don't know if you've seen this, but New Orleans has done a little bit of work since the news of Brees, and they're restructuring Taysom Hill's contract. And it's a weird restructure.
They're getting real creative with the cap.
I mean, like, this is some Mickey Loomis
4D chess.
This is crazy. So a 4-year, $140 million contract extension, which none of the years are guaranteed. All the numbers are voidable. I'm like, whoa, this is too much, man. I'm just going to talk to Mike Triplett about it. I'm not even going to try to explain to you of what the potential cap soothing they did with Hill's contract. It looks like a ton of money on paper, but the more I read, it looks like it's just kind of like cash that can vanish and they can make disappear. But I don't know. I do know that after 20 seasons and 13 Pro Bowls and 2-time Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl championship and Super Bowl MVP,
Man of the Year,
second all-time in passing touchdowns, first all-time in completions, Drew Brees is stepping away from the game. So we will talk a lot about that in the second hour as Brees made it official. And we'll also talk to Derek Stingley Sr. coming up here in a couple of minutes. All right, 1 hour down. And don't forget, over at JordyCulottaShow.com, JordyCulottaShow.com, right now, the Bracket Challenge is active, and it's presented by Just Winging It. That's going to be our home for March Madness here, as Just Winging It is supporting our Bracket Challenge. So get over there and get involved. Giveaways are going to consist of some gear. We'll have a lot of wings to give away from Just Winging It, and we're working out the details, the rules and regulations on how we're going to give away a car from Go Chevrolet as soon as that is all updated. If you get a perfect bracket over at JordyCulottashow.com. Once the rules and regulations are all pinned up there, we will have the potential of you walking away with a brand new vehicle from Go Chevrolet. So lots to get to in the second hour. Come back with us as we will get to a ton of Saints talk, some LSU basketball discussion, but more we will talk about football. We got LSU football starting today on the practice field. We got Drew Brees stepping away. We got what's next for the New Orleans Saints coming up in the second hour of the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Hey, you know it's no secret what we got going over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. We're trying to disrupt how media and advertising moves forward. My friend of over 35 years, Barrett Blondo, is doing the same thing for real estate with his new company, Falaya. I met with him in his own personal undisclosed location, and I got to see firsthand what Falaya has been doing and what he's been working on. It blew my mind, man. They are putting all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. For more information, give my guy Barrett Blondo a call today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays, which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers, all over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at rmb-builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com. Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, All right, welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Ghost Chevrolet, as we are set up here in the second hour, as we will talk to Derek Stingley Sr. in a couple of minutes. We'll talk to Brandon Landry at 8:15 this morning, 8:30, Mike Triplett. So looking forward to the second hour. Make sure that you are online at jordyculottashow.com. Bracket challenge is up. Make sure that you are entered to win over at jordyculottashow.com. Our bracket challenge is presented by Go Chevrolet. And remember, every day here, we are brought to you by Edward Jones. Over at Edward Jones, they are making sense of investing. They can help you out with your 401k like they're doing for me. Get in touch with Daniel Newman. Daniel Newman is out in central Louisiana, right across from Stabs. His office is very easy to find, and working with him is extremely easy. He promised that the first time I met him, and he has carried through on that. I always tell you, if you're working out at the plants, whether you're at Dow, Exxon, BASF, anywhere in South Louisiana or anywhere over in the listening area, doesn't matter where you are, Daniel can help you out. In fact, he's got clients all over the country that he's helping out. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Daniel is a hoop head. Loves the game of basketball. Of course, he was dialed into the SEC run for LSU, and he'll be dialed in for March, and so he'll be around a lot of the stuff that we're doing here for March. And look, we're hoping to take the show on the road here later this week. We're hoping to do some special programming around basketball. And look, we would want to do a little bit more programming, and we should be. And I've got no excuse, but my weekends have been crazy packed being in basketball gyms with Lil J. We were on the flag football field on Friday night, which, by the way, an incredible debut for the Spring Bruins. Put up 50 in the opening
new additions.
Slick looking uniforms. Friday nights, a lot of people buzzing around traction, and the Bruins look like the kind of the main attraction, boys. It was a good opening night for the champs, as the Bruins look good. But then AAU basketball game over at the Red Storm all weekend. We're in the gym, and I know that there's a lot of stuff happening around sports that we could be reacting to, and we have plans to do that here at the Jordy Culotta Show. But we urge your interaction over at jordyculottashow.com as the bracket challenge is up, presented by Just Winging It. And we want you to get involved over there, because we got great prizes for our winners, including gear and a lot of wings and hopefully a car. Yes, sir. How we doing, Coach?
Jordy, what's good?
You doing good, man?
All is well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's kind of feeling about that time of the year where everything's starting to pop. Baseball's kind of moving into midseason form. March Madness, the field is set. Spring football cranks up today. The sports calendar kind of starting to feel right, and things are starting to get back to normal. Can you feel that? How are you feeling?
Well, it's a lot going on, and that's keeping everybody busy. And, you know, for our family, naturally, once we start talking, you know, spring ball, football practices and things like that, you know, we get very excited. So yeah, it's that time of the year, and I know the whole city is excited about what's going on with the LSU and things like that. So it's a good time.
Elite Football Academy. Remember, Elite FBLA is how you find them on social media. Get over there for one-on-one training for football. It's finally here. If you want to be and you just want to focus on football training, that facility now exists in Baton Rouge. It's off Airline Highway, and Derek Stingley Sr. Is really the face, voice, and what's happening there every single day is kind of going through him. Stop and see Elite Football Academy at Elite FBLA. Let's start here, Coach. You're a football fan first. You've been around the game your entire life, growing up around with your father and seeing it so up close. When you hear the news that Drew Brees is stepping away from the game after 20 professional seasons and such an impact at the quarterback position, what's your feelings there?
Man, it's like, well done. You know, the things that he accomplished, you know, coming out of college, he's an undersized guy. You know, they didn't really talk about his arm strength and things like that. But, you know, one thing that they couldn't put a gauge on was his leadership and his willing to win. And he proved that, you know, coming out of Purdue, going to the Chargers, and then coming here to the Saints, and how he revitalized the state, to be honest, you know, but the team was looking for someone like him to come in and just, you know, move the needle in a good way for the Saints. And, you know, he accomplished that by, you know, naturally winning the Super Bowl, always carrying a team deep into the playoffs. And, you know, you look for models like that. And you get a lot of players that can't do what a player like Drew did, you know, with his longevity and how he was always consistent. You know, he had a little tail off, you know, last year, probably the year before, but he still willed that team to some good victories. So you got to applaud an athlete like that to have the type of career and the type of, you know, deal that he had on the city that made everybody want to be fans. And, you know, I'm happy for him. I know he got other big things laying ahead. I think he's going to be doing some NBC work somewhere, but, you know, I'm happy for him. You know, I'll just say, job well done.
Did you think growing up in the way that you saw your dad's NFL played that you would ever see a player play for more than 20 seasons or play for 20 years and still be so impactful in year 20?
Never. Not well, maybe, you know, the quarterback position, you know, they don't take a pound in every play. So if any position can do it, I can see that position doing it. But you really don't expect the life expectancy of a football player to go past, you know, average is like 4 years or something like that. But I mean, you can get some guys who can play long, like a Darrell Green, like a Rod Woodson, you know, at a different position and things like that. You even got Adrian Peterson. He's playing, you know, well into his years. So I mean, it's a few that can do it, but you know, it's amazing how the few that do it, how they're still like very productive. You know, they're not just guys just holding on. They're guys that's making a difference. Game has changed. You know, they're protecting a lot of athletes. It's not as brutal as it once was, like back in the 70s when my dad played. But, you know, it's still, you know, those guys got to take good care of their bodies. You know, they got to, you know, do the right thing year in and year out in order to stay at the top of their game. And the ones who can do it, I applaud them big time.
What has been the biggest training difference in that preparation? Is it just the diet, or has the weight training changed that significantly?
I think it's just a year-round attention. You know, even back in the 70s, it was just training camp. They didn't have mini camps, and they didn't have all-season deals. They didn't have all that stuff that they do nowadays. And then it even goes back to how football or sports in general is structured from a youth standpoint. It's become a year-round thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're conditioned to be, training within our sport year-round to where if you don't do something, the next guy's going to pass you up. So you have to continue to keep yourself ready, do the right things, even with diet and lifting and things like that, and still work on your craft. So I think the dynamic has changed just from the youth sports on up, and it's just continuing all the way into the professional leagues, and that's just how it is. And if you don't do it, you don't get passed up. But back then, I don't think that they had that.
How much are you looking forward? Sorry for talking over you there. How much are you looking forward to today, to getting these guys on the field? LSU starts spring football practice today.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to be like really practicing Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I think today is like what they call football school and things like that. It's just a good week, for us, to get things started. The preparation is something that, from our standpoint is key. I think it's for everyone. If you want to try to get better, you got to get yourself prepared mentally and physically. And I'm pretty sure that Moffitt got those guys ready for that during the fourth quarter training. It's been one of those off seasons that everybody's kind of like, hey, let's just get back into it, because just how things ended last year and just how last year was, people want to come back and see a better product. And I know the players, they can't wait to get back out there. Me personally, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be at most of the practices as usual.
Sure.
So I can't wait to see the product as well.
On a checklist of things to do, what would be number one for a new coach in trying to implement in spring? What are you trying to accomplish as a new guy trying to just kind of get involved with your new team?
Me personally, I just think you need to bring some good positive energy. In my opinion, I think that you should make sure that they understand what they're doing and don't move so fast. Try to just throw everything in and say we accomplished a lot. I think what they have to do is make sure that everybody's on the same page. Get rid of go through step one before you go through step two. Don't just throw it all out there. But I think with that, this team, with all their talent, if we're all just playing fast and together, a lot of good things can happen. That's on both sides of the ball. So, I think if I'm a new coach, I would come in and make sure that we're all there on the same page together. So,
does today start the year that you and Sting Jr. have talked about forever in his football life?
Yeah, you know what, Jordy, he was at the house last night and we were talking about that. I was like, hey man, this is your year now. This is the start of it, So everything that you do is pointing towards, the rest of your life from this point on. We're not going to just go out there and just try to just go out there and play or practice through the motions. We're going to go out there to get better. Work on whatever it is right now that that's a negative within your game. Let's turn it around and fix it. Let's make it better. I always tell them, you got to win each day. You can't just go out there and just go through it and get through it. No, you got to walk off that field saying, I worked on this, I got better. I didn't take a step back. And I said, because now it's like the evaluation period is like bullseye on you. Everybody's going to be looking at you, and especially if the country truly opens back up like it was before, you have NFL scouts that's going to be at every practice. Last year they didn't have that. So, the good thing about him is if it opens up now, you're going to have all those scouts watching you. And so this is still an audition for him throughout the whole entire year. It's not just what they say about the combine is, it could be the final audition, but he's going to be putting out something every day that people are going to be evaluating him. And I say you just have to be on point. And I'm not putting the pressure on you, but if you're that type of player, these are the type of things that people are going to be looking for.
Does he understand the weight of that? 'Cause, that's heavy. I'd imagine those are heavy conversations between a father and son. Does he understand the weight of that?
He does. But naturally, when I'm talking to him, it's just a lot of listening. But every now and then through conversation, we can just be talking about something else, and he might say something that leads into, him wanting to be good, or him, wanting to, put out a great performance. So it's on his mind. I know it is. And you're still talking about a 19-year-old kid with all this, that he has to deal with. And I only do it in spurts. I don't lay it on him so heavy all the time, because it's just, I still want him to be a college student. I still want him to understand that, you're still my baby boy. You're not, you don't have to go out there and it's not business like every time, but I do talk to him about certain things, protecting himself, making sure that, your brand stays clean, doing the right thing, know your surroundings, all that stuff that, that can actually, bring her athlete down, just off the field stuff. And I'd say that I have to worry about that with Derek, but he's still 19. I still have to talk to him about it, so that if he's in a situation, he'll be like, okay, this is one of these situations that my dad is talking about. So I have to be careful or remove myself from it, But he does a good job with that. I'm not really concerned with it, but naturally it's my job to let him know regardless.
You got a bracket winner?
Oh, man, if I had to say, man, I like Michigan. I like what they've been doing. I don't want to say this one, but let's just say Michigan wins it all.
Okay, all right.
Who they're playing, I'm not going to say, but let's say Michigan wins.
I kind of feel like you got Alabama on the other side of that bracket.
I didn't say that. You just said that.
I'm going to send you a link to the Jordy Culotta Show bracket challenge and make sure you're entered to win, and we will talk to you next Monday. Appreciate the insight. That was good conversation this morning. I'd imagine those conversations with your son are becoming very real. I thank you for giving us a little peek into that. Thank you.
Oh, it's all good, Jordy. You know that. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. There is Derek Stingley Sr. checking in this morning. That's good perspective, man. Yeah, you think about that.
Imagine.
You've been talking about this your entire life, right?
We're here.
And now today starts day one of that season. Speaking of the time of the season, it's about swimsuit year. It's about that swimsuit time of the year, which means that you need to get in touch with our friends over at Manscaped. Over at manscaped.com, they are offering a great promotional code at the if you type in the promotional code JC Show, you will receive 20% off and you will get free shipment of your Manscaped products. I can tell you I am a very satisfied customer moving into the spring season here, and Manscaped hooked me up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit as they sent it down, and the lawnmower comes inside their brand new Perfect Package, which comes with everything you need to keep trimmed, cut free, and smelling nice down there with everything that's happening here in the spring. Get in touch with Manscaped, manscaped.com. Use the promotional code JC Show for 20% off and free shipping over at manscaped.com. All right, let's link up with Brandon Landry here, who is one of the most successful businessmen in our state, in our region, and is a former LSU basketball player, has experienced a ton of success. Also Drew Brees' business partner.
Hello.
B, good morning. We're live. Easy. How are you?
What's up, brother? How are you, man?
You doing good?
Great, man. Jordy, 8 seed?
8
8 seed, coach?
Brandon, if you ever thought that there was not a bias against Willie Wade, yesterday when you turned on the broadcast and you heard Dick Vitale anti-recruiting for the Tigers, that was enough evidence. And then you go to the selection show and the NCAA committee, after the last week and a half of what LSU basketball has showed you, you got the guts to put an 8 next to the Tigers' name, Brandon. Look, man, it is us versus the world.
It really is. It really is. I mean, if that wasn't evident yesterday, nothing will be. Because, I mean, that was just ridiculous. When I saw that come out, I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. Anyway, yeah. I know you probably talked about this already.
No, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on the team because they feel right at the right time.
They really do. I mean, look, we've always been able to score, right? But now we're playing defense. We're rebounding. We're doing the little things. that we haven't done all year. And so I'm look, I was skeptical here a couple weeks ago, and then we kind of, I actually talked to Coach a couple weeks ago when we started playing right. We're playing right at the right time. And, man, just this weekend, I said, look, if we get past Ole Miss, because, Coach Davis, that was my old assistant back in the day. I know he can coach. And he gets his team right at the right time as well. But, man, just like we should have won that game yesterday. I mean, we had it, right? So it would have been interesting to see, of course, hindsight, but just what would have happened if we'd have won that game. Right. If we would have still, but because really, I mean, it's a matter of a layup going down or not.
It was it was an instant classic yesterday, and those two teams are going to have battles down the stretch as long as Nate Oates and Will Wade are coaching at both programs, because you can see that they're kind of made up the same way and that they're both intense competitors. But yes, man, it is. Yesterday was example A, B, and C on the world of college basketball versus LSU, whether it was Dick Vitale during the broadcast or the selection committee post SEC championship, putting an 8 next to their name. So
I can tell you one thing. Michigan is not very happy we got an 8 seed.
No, they're not. No, they're not. If there's anybody that has an argument on who was screwed harder, Michigan might be one of those.
You're right.
They have a tough road. And without Livers, Brandon, I'm telling you, if they can get past the Bonnies on Saturday, I like the matchup versus – and then the run is on.
I do. I believe you. Bonaventure scares me, but
yes,
we get past that. I agree.
Okay, so you and I could talk basketball until 11 o'clock this morning. You got a ton on the schedule. I know you got to get moving. Your longtime business partner, Drew Brees, made the announcement yesterday. 15 years to the day of him signing with the New Orleans Saints and bringing so much to the franchise, our state, the region, and then his business sense. That Walk-Ons, Walk-Ons was somebody that he sought out, and you guys have been business partners since then. Explain to me the friendship relationship you share with Breeze and how yesterday's news, in which I'd imagine you knew was coming, but how it hit you.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's typical Drew fashion, right? Attention to detail. Wait to the exact 15th anniversary, right? I mean, if you don't think everything that guy does is not thought out, once again, point proven. But yeah, man, we've kind of knew it was coming. I didn't know exactly what day, but I mean, I talked to him about a week after the season, and I mean, he was like Humpty Dumpty. I mean, just he had to put his body back together, and so we're getting up there, Jay. I mean, we gotta make sure we take care of ourselves. But yeah, man, it's 7 years now. Of course, I grew up here in South Louisiana being a Saints fan and, of course, a Drew fan. And I get the call one day back in 2014, and Chris Stewart, his marketing agent, he says, "Hey, Brandon, I got Drew and I would love to talk to you about what you got going on." I had no idea what the conversation was going to be about. He goes, "Look, man, I'm going to pick him up from practice here in a little bit. Do you mind if we give you a shout back?" I said, "Sure." So he calls me back, an hour later, and he says, "Hey, Brandon, it's Chris again. I got Drew in the car." And Drew's like, "What's up, Brandon?" "Hey, Drew Brees." What's up, man?
What's up, man?
First interaction with him, ever. And he's a normal, once I got kind of past stardom, and we sat down and just talked business, and he said, "Look, man, I love what you got going on." He goes, I'm not Drew Brees, the celebrity quarterback sitting here looking for a handout. He goes, "I'm a business guy looking to make an investment." And, right then and there, I knew he was a different dude, off the field. Right. And, it just formed a friendship. And look, I've learned, football aside, if you're a good guy fan, you're a Drew Brees fan. And, everything that I've learned about being just a husband, a father, anything away from, what football is, the dude's just got it, man. And it's been, I feel like I've been blessed just to be around him and really get to learn from him.
You have seen what it takes behind the scenes to keep a 34-year-old body on producing at an NFL level. What goes into being 40 years old and still being productive on Sundays? What goes into that? What have you seen behind the scenes that the fans have not seen?
Yeah, well, I think once again it goes back to his attention to detail and everything that he does. I mean, first of all, I mean his preparation. I mean, there's no dude that studies the game and knows. I mean, the great ones, right? They know what's going to happen before the ball is snapped. And if you see him in that intensity in his eye, but I mean, the way he eats, the way he works out, I mean, he gets up. I mean, he's an unbelievable father. Of course, once he gets in the fall, over the last 20 years, he's had, football and traveling and things like that. But, I mean, he'll wake up, especially like sometimes we'll have calls, because he wants to know what's going on in the business. He's not this passive investor. Like, he's very involved. And so even when he's on the West Coast, I mean, it'll be a 7 a.m. call here, which is 5 a.m. in La Jolla, and making sure that he's doing things and he's eating and he's going to work out, doing all those little things. And I think one of the things, that's interesting about Drew, he was very passionate about, of course, eating right, but also flexibility. One thing that he told me, it wasn't about pumping iron and doing anything like that anymore. Everything he did was just trying to stretch those old muscles out and those tendons and everything, just so he could, avoid injury as much as he could.
What's he like as a business partner? I mean, I know the attention to detail stuff, but I mean, from a business sense standpoint, I mean, you have experienced so much success in business. I mean, you're recognized as one of the great entrepreneurs within our country. What does Breeze bring to your day-to-day operations?
A lot. Look, I learned a lot from him, and honestly, I think the next phase of his life will be as successful, if not more, just because, I mean, look, he was kind of against the odds with his height and size and everything like that, right? He had to outwork everyone. Now, he's got a brain, and he's going to put this thing to use. But look, like, once again, it goes back, man, he keeps me on my toes. We'll have calls, and here I am. I'm the founder and the CEO of this brand, and I got to do a little bit of homework before I get on the phone with him, because he's going to sit, he's going to quit. Look, it's not about, okay, we're doing good, things like that. No, he wants to know, okay, what franchises we have. So any new groups coming in, he'd like to know their names. He'll get their email or their phone number and reach out. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It really is. And so, I mean, just all the little things. Once again, I go back to he's helped me just because it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen when he went out there on Sundays. And then, I think just as a human being, the respect that he gives people, I picked that up right away, man. It doesn't matter if he was talking to me when he came into the office, or if we went into one of the restaurants, that he'd be talking to maybe a new team member that just started, an hourly team member. When he talks to them, he gives them undivided attention. He's not one of those big time guys. We all know those guys, when they talk to people, they're kind of looking over your shoulder to see what's better out there. Yeah. Right? He's one of those dudes that's going to look you right in the eye and give you undivided attention. And I saw that in everything he did. Wherever we were, whether we traveled, we went to Indy Bowl deal or anything like that, it was very impressive. And it's like I said, on the field we all know what he did, but off the field I've been blessed just to see the type of person that he is.
You were talking about his diet and how he, his training ability and everything like that. What's his go-to at walk-ons? What's he snacking on?
It's funny because sometimes he'd get in the season and he'd be pretty strict on
the order
his diet.
Changes a little bit.
Yeah, it did. So it all depended on the season. Sometimes he'd just get like a turkey burger or something like that with no bun. But then sometimes, like usually by this time of year, we would do a lot of our production and things like that for the entire year in the spring. He would hit it hard, man. He could eat, the double bacon cheeseburger with fries and things like that. So
get them boneless wings, Breeze. The boneless wings are the go-to, bro.
Yeah, you wonder why it's in those business meetings. Like, I kind of want a lunch.
Yeah. Brandon, real quick before we get you out of here, and I appreciate your time so much, and this insight's been fantastic. What has it been like to be a restaurateur the last year? And do you feel like things are starting to open back up?
Well, very interesting, right? I mean, here this time last year, almost to the day, we get a call that, or the news says, "Hey, man, your business that you're doing, you got to shut it down."
Right.
That's not an easy thing to take.
Sure.
You don't learn that in business school. How to navigate through a global pandemic when they tell you to shut your dining rooms down. But I think credit to our team. We sat there and we said, you know what, we got to pivot, right? We got to do whatever we can to make it through this. And so it wasn't sit there and say, let's feel sorry for ourselves. So let's go get it. So we turned and curbside to go and takeout. And then I think the biggest thing that our company did is, good companies, they can give back and do things right when things are going well. I think great companies and great people are the ones that really do things out of the ordinary when things aren't going so well. And so we formed our furlough kitchen and started feeding, thousands and thousands of furloughed hospitality workers. And then once again, back to Drew. He calls me out. He said, "Hey man, I hear we're doing it. How can Brittany and I help?" He goes, I'm thinking about donating $5 million to just help feed people and give people. He goes, "Man, people need us." Once again, a lot of people don't understand like this stuff that he does. And I was like, all right, let's go. And so we started doing all those things. And, it wasn't even about, okay, let's get walk-ons to pat on the back. It's
Sure.
like, let's take care of the people that are really hurting right now. And those things, people reward us back whenever they can. And that's what we did. And that's what, of course, he's the first one to step up and say, how can I help? And I think once again, the credit to the type of dude he is. But yeah, man, we finished, 2020 as good as we could. I think we're less than 5% down.
Wow.
From 19. So we feel very blessed. And as we see things getting back to normal in some of the states that were, Texas and Florida, we're rocking and rolling again. And those states that are opening back up. And so look, it was interesting. We learned a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your company and your team. But our team is second to none, and I'm just proud to lead them each and every day.
The Louisiana Restaurant Association's Restaurateur of the Year, a very successful businessman and a great representative of our state, our region, and Drew Brees' business partner. Great insight this morning, man. Thank you very much. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, brother. Boot up. Let's make a run.
Always. Yes, sir. Boot up. There's Brandon Landry checking in this morning from Walk-Ons as he gives us a little insight there on Drew Brees. That was cool. That was good conversation from Landry. We appreciate him stopping by. We're brought to you by Angel Oak Home Loans. Angel Oak Home Loans. Remember, you can get in touch with me if you are a self-employed home buyer, if you're one of those home buyers that just missed, or if you're looking with if you're a home buyer that's running into some issues, or with one with significant assets. Get in touch with us in the Angel Oak Home Loan Team, and you can do that just by emailing me, Jordy at jordyculotta.show.com, and there is a team of veterans behind me with so much knowledge and so much insight on home loans and how Angel Oak can get you into a very creative home loan today, whether you are self-employed, whether you're looking for an investment property, you want to buy that condominium, you want to buy that second residence. Get in touch with us over at Angel Oak Home Loans at Jordy at jordyculotta.show.com. More Saints discussion when we come right back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Let me whip across and get some water real quick, and we'll come back. We'll talk to Mike Triplett of ESPN.com. Triplett has been on the Saints beat covering Drew Brees now for nearly his entire career that Brees has been in New Orleans. We'll talk to him about these magical 15 years. What happens next for New Orleans from a football standpoint? Some of the news that came out, Taysom Hill was restructuring his contract for an extension, but does the money exist? We'll have Triplett give us some insight there. Who are the true options to succeed Drew Brees? All coming up next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Get over to jordyculottashow.com and enter the Just Winging It Bracket Challenge. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers, all over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at rmb-builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Remember, log online to jordyculottashow.com to enter your chance to win our bracket challenge presented by Just Winging It. Get over there and name your final four. You've got until up until tip-off, which Friday morning, if you want to get involved here.
Don't wait.
Yeah, no need to wait, though. Appreciate Brandon Landry for stopping by. Good conversation with Landry on Drew Brees, being his business partner for the last 7 years, kind of what he's learned from working on the front lines with Brees. Speaking of the front lines, Mike Triplett has been covering the Saints and the NFL. He's down in New Orleans covering the Saints for ESPN.com, has been on the Brees beat, the Saints beat for all of these 15 years, and stopping by now here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Much expected to the announcement of Brees stepping away from the game, but when it was made official, what was the what was it that hit you? I guess everybody had a personal moment, whether you covered him, you were a fan, or you were his peer or professional around him. To see him step away from the game 20 years after his successful run hit everybody a little different. How did it hit you?
Well, I still can't believe he's doing it. I mean, yeah. I know we have been prepared for this. It's been reported. It started being reported last offseason that he nearly retired and that this was going to be his last season. But I really thought he was going to go till he was 45. I mean, my prediction was always that he wanted to be the oldest quarterback ever to start a game in the NFL. I think that was 45 and change. But maybe Tom Brady ruined his plans. Maybe he thought, well, this guy's never going to quit. so I might as well decide when I want to walk away and spend time with my family. But I really am kind of surprised. I mean, we saw him obviously struggle a little bit this last season, but in general, he was such a special kind of quarterback that what I don't think will ever be appreciated enough by the fan base is these last few years. That, you hear a lot of, oh man, he can't even throw the ball 30 yards down the field. Well, then you should be all the more impressed by him because you took those tools away from him and he still was like, all right, well then I guess I'll have the 3 best completion percentages in NFL history and I'll have the 3 best passer ratings in my career and I'll cut my turnovers down in half. And we'll still, win the most games that the Saints ever won over a 4-game stretch because I have to find out another way to do it. And he was always going to be the guy that was going to find a way to overcome any shortcomings. And very literally, obviously, being just 6 feet tall, the shoulder surgery, everything else. He was a guy who was like, all right, what do I have to do to win? And he always found a way to do it.
Everybody has that moment when you're like, oh, bleep, the Saints are for real. Like back in 2006, just seeing them play, like, oh wow, they got a quarterback. Being so close to the organization, do you remember that moment when you said to yourself, "My goodness, this guy is going to change the entire feeling around this state, this city this franchise.
Right. Well, look, that's something that I don't think, unless people were there in the moment, that they necessarily remember. Like, in hindsight, it's like, oh, the Saints were bad. Katrina happened. Then they got Drew Brees and everything was better. He was a huge question mark. That deal was structured as a deal because of the shoulder surgery. Some people didn't know if he'd ever come back, and the deal was structured as a deal they could have gotten out of after 1 year. It just didn't work out. It felt like a test on, almost felt like when they signed Jameis Winston last year. Like, oh, they'll check the guy out, see if it's going to work out. And then the entire offseason, he still wasn't throwing. Training camp, he started throwing a little bit, but he was throwing short passes and slowly ramping up his activity. And then even in that first season, they won a lot of games where he threw for 160 yards, 180 yards, but obviously it was during that first year. I mean, they started 3-0, including the incredible return to the Superdome. They won the division. They were the number 2 seed in the NFC that year. And you just realized, I mean, my early impressions of what the Saints said about him when they signed him, and then it was just so evident, was that he was just a winner. I mean, he took his high school team to the state championship in an undefeated season. He went to Purdue, and he took them to the Rose Bowl, when Purdue hadn't been that kind of program. Then he comes to the Saints, and they're in the NFC title game, and it's just like, all right, whatever that immeasurable quality is, this guy is one of the rare ones who have it.
How can you explain, and I know you've done so elegantly in covering these two, but if I ask you on this platform in an interview that maintains a question that deserves an answer from 2 to 3 minutes, how can you explain Brees and Peyton's relationship and the success that they experienced together at the highest level?
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty, frankly, as a sports reporter who's getting to chronicle them for 15 years, I want a time machine, and I have this incredible curiosity to see how each of them would have done without the other, because I think both of them would have thrived without the other. I think Drew Brees is going to be a success in any offense with any coach. He could have been one of those guys who went through 4 head coaches and 6 offensive coordinators, and I think he would have gone back to the playoffs. And I would have loved to have seen Sean Payton draft Matt Leinart and see if he turned out to be somebody, or go through a couple quarterbacks and see how much success he had with each of them, because I think he would have been a success, and I think he'd still probably be an NFL coach. I think the two guys are both genuinely that special. But when you pair them together, it's just like a cheat code on the rest of the NFL. I mean, it's the same thing we saw with Belichick and Brady. Belichick might be the best coach in NFL history, and Brady might be the best quarterback in NFL history. And I think both things are true, and they coincidentally happen to be together all that time. And it's very similar with Peyton and Brees. I think you're talking top 5 to 10 quarterbacks of all time, top 5 to 10 offensive minds of all time. And we got to see them work together, which was incredible.
What next for New Orleans? I mean, the details come out that they're restructuring Taysom Hill's contract into a formula that I'm just going to let you explain. But what next?
The timing couldn't have been worse with Taysom Hill's contract restructure and everybody hearing the numbers on it. Look, I mean, it is no different than the other, now 100 contracts that they've restructured to push cap costs into future years over the last over the last decade, and the 10th one they've done so far this offseason. The numbers don't usually just get reported, and I think because the years will automatically void. The way you restructure someone's contract and push cap costs into future years, they have to have more years on their deal, and Taysom Hill was heading into the last year of his deal. So they pretended it was a 5-year deal, but the final 4 years are automatically going to void after this season. They've done that a bunch. They did that a bunch with Drew Brees' contract. But it had to be exceptionally high because, in theory, they could, let's say the guy starts and has a Teddy Bridgewater-like, surprising season, and then, he is worth $20 million. You have to make the fake number at least as high as the highest possible that his salary could go. So they made it really high, and everybody freaked out. But they have not given him an additional dollar. They haven't added a year to his contract. And more importantly, it did not show any kind of a long-term commitment to him. So I think he has a chance to win the starting job, but I very much expect it to be a competition between Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. I would actually almost think Jameis Winston is the slight front runner if they're able to work out a deal with him in free agency. But, that's my anticipation, is a competition between those two. And then, of course, you can't rule out a trade up in the draft. You can't rule out, a trade for Russell Wilson if he really wants to come here. I think that's a long shot because the Saints don't have much to offer that would move the needle for Seattle, if you ask me. But it's the quarterback position, and they need one for the first time in 15 years, so they're going to explore every avenue.
We have seen them cut Janoris Jenkins. We have seen them move away from Quan Alexander and Emmanuel Sanders. What has been the surprising move here, or this is going to be Mickey the Magician's best work, when talking about Loomis and Kai Hartley here and how they're going to have to massage this number to get under the new cap?
Yeah, I mean, they are magicians. They're two of the best in the business at that. But we've seen a lot of players actually get cut, so it's hard to say they've pulled off a miracle here. They made some tough cuts that they might not have made if the cap continued to go up every year. And I think you listed the two that I don't know that Emmanuel Sanders and Janoris Jenkins get cut if the cap is $210 million this year, as they were originally expecting. Now, on the flip side of that, I think part of the reason they did get cut is because veteran receivers and veteran cornerbacks are about to be available super cheap. Guys like Janoris Jenkins and Emmanuel Sanders aren't going to make $10 million and $8 million from anybody, or 11.2 is what Jenkins was scheduled to make. Patrick Peterson is going to make less than you would say. So maybe they're going to sign a receiver that was just starting for the last 5 years in the NFL for a veteran minimum contract now, because this is happening all over the league. But so those two were mild surprises. Josh Hill, Thomas Morstead, obviously, if Malcolm Brown gets cut. But I think it was a good reminder for everyone who was freaking out about the cap, not just that the Saints can move money into future years and work around the cap, but everyone automatically thinks, oh no, the Saints are $100 million over the cap. They're going to lose Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and Cameron Jordan and Ryan Ramczyk and Marshawn Lattimore. No, you still have $180 million to spend on salaries, and you start by keeping your 10 best players, and it's sort of the second and third tiers that get gutted a little bit.
Is the Russell Wilson discussion, was it ever real? Is it real?
I don't even know that it's a discussion. The impression I got is that the Saints, at least as of a week ago, the Saints hadn't really engaged in any talks. And so I certainly don't see how that could possibly happen before the start of free agency, which actually starts today, the legal tampering period. So I think the Saints are going to have to sign another quarterback, which I expect to be Jameis Winston, and start to go in another direction. Now, if it happened, if Russell Wilson, if it got so poisonous in Seattle, they said, look, I'm just never coming back here. Or, it doesn't seem as bad as the Deshaun Watson situation. But if that happened, and Russell Wilson said, and I have a no-trade clause, and these are the only three teams I'll go to, then I guess there's a chance. But frankly, even if Russell Wilson is down to just the Saints and the Bears, I can't imagine Seattle picking anything the Saints have to offer over the Bears, because the Bears picked 8 spots higher in this year's draft, and probably you don't expect the Bears to be as good as the Saints would be over the next 5 years, so their picks would probably be lower. And certainly if they open the door to the Jets with the number 2 pick or the Dolphins with the number 3 pick, I just have a hard time believing the Saints can make the best offer to Seattle to pry Russell Wilson away. But if he forces their hand, the Saints would do everything in their power to get him, I'm sure.
Wow. Mike Triplett joining us here, Jordy Culotta Show, as you can find his work on Twitter. He's over at ESPN.com covering the New Orleans Saints, and has covered Drew Brees since day one that Brees has been here. And Brees, of course, announced his retirement after 20 years in the game.
Mike, you just posted a tweet about 2 of your favorite articles about Drew Brees, about his incredible recall and how he sees the field like no other quarterback in more ways than one. What stuck out about those articles to you and made them different?
Well, look, Drew's recall and his insight, I mentioned those in response to somebody else who was tweeting about an interaction they had with Drew Brees, and you asked what stood out to me from covering him over the years, seeing him on the field, what he meant to the team and stuff. But yeah, when it just comes to, conversations that I've had with him as a reporter who's gotten to cover him, I've always remembered those, almost the excitement in his voice when you get him talking shop. And some of that stuff is the stuff that, I know that I really had special access to be able to be like, I've always wondered this, I've always wanted this. And those are two of my favorite, how it's made or, behind the scenes of what goes through Drew Brees' mind. You hear those play calls. How does he remember all of them? What goes into remembering all of them? Can you tell me the name of the play call? That was one of them. I brought up a play call to him and he knew it, but I was like, all right, so if I asked you what was the play call when you threw the 2-point conversion to Lance Moore in the Super Bowl, I didn't even finish a sentence. Then it was boom, 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 boom. I named it. And the other one was from a few years earlier where it was, what he sees on the field. You see him crane his neck to take a little sneak peek over the top sometimes. He always described what he sees between offensive linemen as, he said, picture being in the first store of an empty office building. You see a car drive by through one window, then you see the car drive by through another window. You don't see the car the whole time, but you know where it's going to be. That's how he described knowing where all the receivers are. It's just really fascinating stuff
So cool.
in conversations I've had with him over the years like that.
That is cool stuff, man. Mike Triplett with a couple of minutes here this morning on the Jordy Culotta Show. We always appreciate it, Mike. You fill out a bracket at all? You do March Madness?
Well, you know what I do, and I recommend this to everybody. For the last 5-10 years, I've been in a survivor-style NCAA tournament where you can only pick one team every day, and then you can never use them again. I love the strategy behind that. But I am more invested this year than ever before because I'm a proud Iowa Hawkeye.
Yes.
And we are good for the first time in a long time. I'm prepared for disappointment because they're like the 5th best team in the country and the 4th best team in the Big Ten. But
I'm ready to be heard again.
Do you like, real quick before I get you out of here, you like anybody at 28, a position or a player drafting it late in the first round?
Well, they never target specific positions, certainly not at 28. They will not get pigeonholed into that. But I think the combination of them needing receiver after cutting Emmanuel Sanders, needing to get younger at receiver, and the fact that, a lot of experts say there's a lot of depth at receiver, I think that's somewhere they'll go in the first 3 days of the draft. And cornerback has suddenly become a need because of Janoris Jenkins. And I'm curious about offensive tackle. Are they going to invest in Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead both long-term because both are heading into the final years of their deal? If not, offensive tackle is a big need. So those are 3 that stand out to me.
At Mike Triplett on Twitter, ESPN.com. Read all his work, and you'll hear him here hopefully again on the Jordy Culotta Show very soon. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man. See you. There's Mike Triplett checking in this morning from New Orleans, giving us a little insight there on everything from covering Breeze for the last 15 seasons to what the thought could be in the draft. Daily, we're brought to you by Johnson and Spillers. They are dentists here in the area. They've got a location in Gonzales. They've got a location in Baton Rouge. If you want to catch up with them, you can log online to johnsonandspillers.com. That is JeAnsonne. Henry Johnson and Chad Spillers are the dentists over there at Johnson Spillers. In Baton Rouge, located on Perkins Road in between Bluebonnet and Segan. In Gonzales, they are located off of Perpera Avenue over in Gonzales. You can stop in and see them. They got a great website where you can request an appointment, you can book an appointment, but you can also find out about all the services that they offer, like pediatric dentistry, and they can help you out with all of your teeth whitening needs. If you're looking for Botox, they are a great choice as well over at Johnson and Spillers. Johnson and Spillers Dentistry, johnsonspillers.com is where you find them. Great social media as well if you want to hit them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up with the news. Great show, fast moving, which has been the theme to the weekend. Is everybody screwed up by this spring? How fast was Sunday?
Can somebody explain to me
Bro, it felt
what's
like
happening?
Every 20 minutes was 2 hours, like off the clock. Yeah. I mean, like, I first off, when I woke up, which I can't tell you the last time that I woke up and the sun was up. I'm talking about like high pointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what? By the time you look up, it's 10. Jay's got a game at 11. That thing's over at noon, 12:15. LSU basketball is playing. That thing's over. It's at 3. Baseball, watch that game. It's over at 5:30. Next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like still in my slippers. You know what I mean? I'm like, where the hell did the day go, bro? But as far as I'm not a fan of the time change. I hate.
I don't understand. There's no reason
to get it. I don't understand it either. But if we're going to live within this mechanism,
which one do you pick?
This is the one.
Absolutely.
I like the sunlight being out longer, bro.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like more hours in the day. Give me
nothing's
an
worse
opportunity.
than sundown at 6 p.m.
It's tough waking up when it's dark and getting home when it's dark.
Yeah.
It's just very.
No, you spent your whole day inside whenever like you just missed it. But as a golfer, I mean, it's the best time of the year. I could sneak out here and go play 9.
Okay. All right, I love Ronnie Rance's stories about Lloyd and the golf course. They're my favorite. They're my favorite. Look at this guy walking up. Who is this guy with the tucked-in shirt?
He's like, Lloyd? He's like, whoa.
Got a hustler.
I don't get the phone call anymore.
All right, so, man, that's 2 hours down of radio here on this Monday. Not radio, of some YouTube entertainment. And, of course, online at jordyculotta.show.com. Remember to get there and fill out your bracket. We're going to give you a great opportunity to win a brand new car. In fact, I just saw Nick Richard, who was in the bunker chatting with us over on YouTube, that said he's ready to throw away some cars, some keys to a new car. And all you got to do is fill out a perfect bracket to get that. We'll have the rules and regulations up. Like that, you can only fill out one. You got to live in the state. You're gonna have to pay tax, title, license on that car. But we'll have all of those rules and regulations up for you before we go live and get into it on Friday with March Madness. We didn't talk a lot about LSU baseball, but they had a maddening weekend, a crazy weekend, as they were able to take 3.
Take some shirts off.
Take 3. Yeah, I don't get the baseball celebration where they strip each other and feel each other. It's just weird.
It's very baseball. That's what we said yesterday. It's a very lot of camaraderie in that dugout.
A lot of options too in celebrating, and that's the go-to.
You thought it would change at some point. Like, no, it's stuck around for about 4 years now.
So remember the bracket challenge. I appreciate all the conversations today. Good conversations. Brandon Landry talking about Drew Brees. Mike Triplett talking about covering Brees and the Saints. At 8 o'clock, Derek Stingley Sr. giving some insight on LSU football as he was stopping by talking about what's happening today on day 1 of spring drills. Jack Bech, the LSU signee, and just recently crowned 4-time state champion in basketball, 2-time state champ in football. Bech was here. He's an LSU wide receiver signee. And we also talked to John Brady about LSU basketball as the Tigers with the A seed are heading to March Madness. Tomorrow morning we'll be back with you, 7 o'clock. We'll focus a little bit more on baseball as the Tigers will have a home tilt versus Southeastern that will go live from the box tomorrow night at 6:30. Remember, get down to Go Chevrolet over in Laplace. Get online to jordyculotta.show.com and fill out your bracket. Go Chevrolet drives us, empowers us every single day. Our coffee was provided by Majestic, and everybody we talked to on the phone lines was brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, 2 of the obnoxious LSU basketball fans, 2 that I fit in with very well around. We're eating lunch today at Phil's. See you boys over there at 11:30. Enjoy this beautiful Monday. Spring ahead. Don't forget to adjust your clocks, and we'll be back with you tomorrow morning.